I'm starting to see people coming in, so we'll get started right at 2. But as of now, it's good to see many of you coming in here and excited for today's orientation. I'll give it a couple more minutes before we get started for those of you who just joined. Alrighty, one more minute. Now a couple more people are joining still. Just want to give them the time to get everything set up before we get going. Alrighty, I think we'll get started here now. Um, Lots of familiar names. I haven't met all of you in person just yet, but it's nice that we get to be on here virtually and you get the information for this committee orientation that we're having. So I'm super excited. My name is Alyssa Blasius, work for the State Bar of South Dakota, and I am the new Bar Services Coordinator. So I just wanted to give a quick introduction, a warm welcome to all of you. I know that, having a meeting sometimes in the middle of the day or just in general, online meetings can sometimes take away from the important work that we're doing, in law firms and so on. But we're really excited and happy and thankful that you're taking the time to be here today. We really appreciate that. I know I see a few more people coming in. Not a problem. This is being recorded. Just for your information, it will be uploaded later on. I want to say, and could be today, could be could be tomorrow. So, so this information will be available as we get through this. Again, a warm welcome. Thank you all for being here today. And I will just be sharing my screen here soon and hand this off to John Richter, our State Bar President. Let me know if you have any issues with audio. Let me know if the PowerPoint is not sharing, and I will do my best to get that to you. So right now I'm going to share my screen, get over to this PowerPoint, and we can get started. Alrighty, can everybody see my screen here? I'm going to just to move around some things and make sure that we are all good. Can I have someone speak just because I can't see
We can see your
the
I can
screen?
see it.
Melissa.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to keep it here just in case the links that I'm going to click aren't going to work in presentation mode. So that's the reason I'm going to keep it in this format. Is that all right with everyone? Alrighty. Well, I'll hand this off to John and he can give the introduction.
Well, good afternoon. Thanks everyone for joining us. So I guess this is the committee chair orientation. So we're doing things a little bit differently this year. In the past, we had done basically in-person meetings in Sioux Falls and Rapid City. And those who could attend in the area, that was great and they got to interact. But the underlying problem with that is you only get to interact with half the committees. And there's 34 committees or so. And I think everything you do is important. And I think there's a lot of utility and benefit in getting things aligned, get everybody flowing in the same direction. That's really why, as president this year, I've really emphasized the strategic plan because it really talks a lot about engagement, alignment, working for the members, fiscal responsibility, a lot of concepts we can all agree on. So I thought, we could try something a little bit different and kind of focus on the mechanics this year. And perhaps, those who are participating on committees can't thank you enough for your work. You do a lot of good work, but maybe by having this forum, we can kind of open up some ideas and kind of unleash some thoughts in terms of what we can do to add more value for our members. So specifically, one of the things that continually gets brought up, and I've spoken with a lot of the different committee chairs, is, well, what's going to be important to you? What's going to add value? What's going to make this meaningful, not just to your committee members or the members, but to you as a chair? What is the deliverable at the end of the year that you're going to be able to walk away with and say, hey, we put in a lot of work, we put in a lot of time, but we walked away with this project, or we walked away with this activity that helped a lot of people and advance the bar. So I think just in terms of the cross pollination of ideas, I do think in terms of the committees, there is kind of an appetite out there for, can we create content for the bar? Can we share what we're doing? Also, there's a lot of desire, it seems like, for collaboration. Like, how can we collaborate with different groups? I mean, we're kind of siloed up in these different committees, but is there crossover? Are there ways to interact with other groups to do something bigger? And one of those things, and I'd encourage everybody to think about is, how can we contribute to Law Day in May? So out in May, Terramy's done a great job of getting pairing up teachers, pairing up lawyers, and getting lawyers in the school to interact with our future attorneys or potential future attorneys out there. But in visiting with a couple different committees, for example, I visited with Ryan Colbeck and said, hey, what do you want to accomplish this year? And we kind of had a little bit of an impasse initially, and the topic switched over to Law Day. And he said, well, hey, what we can do? We can get up and do some mock trials. So I kind of hope that's what comes out of things today. Also, in terms of committee selection, you might notice that some of your committees and groups have grown a little bit as well. There's kind of a purpose for that. I've gone back and forth, and I've kind of visited with a lot of you about, the pros and cons of, smaller agile groups versus bigger groups. And I think where I landed with the appointment process was more of a broad engagement model. I know there's going to be those who are hard workers and contribute, and everybody knows who they are. But I think there's also value for people being able to just sign up, participate, fit in, and just learn about what's going on with the bar. So I think there is value to that. So I hope that works out well. The other thing, just maybe this sparks a conversation later as people are discussing things, is I did get to visit with the law students down at orientation last week, and kind of talked about my story a little bit and how I got to where I'm at. There does seem to be an appetite amongst law students, whether they're the first year, second, or third year, to be active and involved with with committees. They want to participate. The way I frame things or the way I think about things is, in terms of framing it is, you know, I did participate on the public sector pathways project. And it does seem like if you can get your foot in the door at the law school, you'll ultimately become an attorney at some point. It's not a matter of if, but it's a matter of when. So these are, once you get the foot in the door at the law school, these are future colleagues. So I kind of am of the mindset that we treat them accordingly and let them start integrating with the committees. Make those connections. It's not just lateral, engagement with your friends, but let's start making that vertical engagement and get people integrated. So those are kind of the big goals for this year. So I think in terms of the committees, what we did with the law school was provide a forum where law students can sign up and they'll send their information in. And if they have interest in a particular committee, I have no problem with connecting them with that committee. Public sector section and admin law have had great success with that in the past couple of years, and we've been able to really not just get a lot of productivity out of the law schools or law students because they're active and engaged, but they've used that as a springboard, and to see their professional development has been really inspirational. And they're leap years ahead of where I was at that stage. So it's impressive to see the development. So I guess with that, those are kind of the big things. But hopefully this discussion today, people get some ideas, you get motivated, you get inspired, you kind of get that go forth and conquer the world and let's do something big this year. But the other thing too, and I'll just make the invite because I don't know if probably after my ramble, I'll probably get cut off and never asked to speak to this group again for the remainder of the time. But if any of the committees or chairs have a particular project that they're proud of or have something that they're interested in, feel free to bring it up to bar staff or myself or any of your commissioners, and let's get it on the agenda and we can talk about it at the bar commission meeting and see what we can do in terms of making sure that you have the resources to be successful. So with that, I'll turn the floor back over to Alyssa and Carrie and the rest of the bar staff. And thank you all
Great.
again.
Yeah, thank you, John. I really appreciate it. We'll be going on to the next slide here for State Bar of South Dakota's purpose. And this slide will be covered by Paul Kramer, our executive director.
Hey, folks, thank you. Just want to echo what Alyssa and John have already said. Appreciate everybody being here. Appreciate you serving as chairs for committees and sections. A lot of our work comes through our committees and sections. Obviously, a lot of our work, almost everything, comes through our volunteers. And you guys are key in helping to lead that charge. The state bar, our purpose statute is on the screen. One thing to keep in mind, we were created in SDCL 1617-1, so the statute before this, as a public association. So we're a mandatory bar. We're one of about 30 mandatory bars in the United States, meaning you have to be a member of the bar to practice. And so where that comes into play is on some of the things that we can and can't do advocacy wise. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But just that structure that we have, and this is something I never really thought of prior to becoming a member of the bar staff, is we're a mashup of two different types of entities. So we have if you look at, say, if you were a physician in South Dakota, you have the State Medical Association, which is a voluntary organization. You can join that or you don't have to join that. Then you have the licensing side of that, which is the South Dakota Board of Medical and Osteopathic Examiners, which is the state licensing agency. Two separate entities. We're a mashup of both of those types of entities. So because if you want to practice, you have to be a member, there comes into play some First Amendment concerns. There's a case, Keller versus State Bar of California, which has been in existence for, I want to say that's from the late 80s, early 90s. And that case lays out, things that state bars can and can't do uh, on behalf of their members. And uh, that case was out there for many years. In 2018, the Supreme Court overruled one of the cases that was sort of a key case in the Keller case. The Janus case overruled the Abood case, yada, yada. That sparked a new wave of litigation against state bars for some of their advocacy positions. So, where I'm going with this is a lot of the work that our committees and sections do involves legislative activities. The Keller case and the Keller line of cases does not mean that we no longer engage in legislative activities. We're very active during the legislature. What we have pulled back from, as have all mandatory state bars, is serving as either a proponent or an opponent for certain types of litigation. We can still do it. That the legislation must be either it has to be germane to the practice of law, and the test is whether the activity or the legislation we're looking at is directly related to regulating the legal profession or enhancing the quality of legal services regulate offered to the public. So if you have questions on that, I'm always happy to talk about our how we comply with Keller and how we have our committees and sections comply with Keller. Uh, we've been pretty good about threading that needle and engaging in legislative activities without violating Keller, and we just want to continue to do that. Uh, we're going to cover some staff roles on the next slide. Don't go to that yet, Alyssa, please. I just want to say I hear from some committees that, I feel bad we weren't very active last year. That's okay, because a lot of times some of our committees are formed for the purpose of, if an issue arises, say like a legislative issue, we've already got folks lined up. We've got the experts lined up that we can go to and run an issue by them. There are some years when you may not get that call, but to the extent you do get that call, you're already formed. We don't have to go out and find folks and put that group together to look at particular issues. So if there are groups out there, some are less active than others, that's okay. That is nothing to feel bad about. Your number will probably get called at some point. We talked about Keller a little bit. Yeah, so that's all I have on those particular topics. If anybody has questions, you can put them in the chat or ask them now or ask me later or whatever. But I think we can go to the next slide then, Alyssa, if that's okay.
You got it. Yep, I'll go to the next slide.
Thank you. And so we've had changes to staff over the last couple of years. I'm about 2.5 years in now, getting close to 3. I still rely very heavily on Andy Fergal, our former executive director. I very much appreciate Andy's continued help for me personally. Tracy Bradford has been here the longest, and we're very fortunate to have Tracy, but she's in a different role. She took over for Nicole Ogan when Nicole went to go work for Judge Schulte. We're very fortunate to have Carrie Sanderson serving as our strategic plan coordinator. She comes in with a great deal of association management experience, and we're just very fortunate to have her helping us out with these tasks. Alyssa, has gotten to speak here a little bit today. Again, very fortunate to have her. She comes in with some very good ideas on helping us deal with some of our committee and section work. And that was why we created that position. We went to the Bar Commission last year at about this time, and they were gracious enough to fund another position uh, because we did not have the bandwidth to help committees and sections to the extent that we can. And you know what? Frankly, we probably still won't. I mean, we're not going to be able to do everything for everybody, but we do think that having Alyssa's position and Alyssa in that position will help folks that serve as committee and section chairs. We're hoping that that helps with some of that work. And obviously, other folks still do work with committees, and you'll hear more about that coming up. Taylin Bradford uh, is our communications person, took over for Tracy in that spot. Newsletter is one of her big deals, but obviously does a lot of stuff with membership. Uh, Brooklyn Drews. So Taylin started about a year ago at this time. So she's got just under a year under her belt. Uh, Brooklyn Drews uh, is our new front desk person. He's been with us since May and is picking things up very quickly. We're very fortunate to have both Taylin and Brooklyn. Folks, you will know that have served here for quite a while. Denise Langley does our A2J program, top notch, uh, and keeps that access to justice program running very smoothly. And of course, a lot of folks know Becky Porter, our lawyers assistance program director, and you know Becky holds us all up, and so very fortunate to have the crew that we have. We had our first bar convention together in June of this year. I think it went pretty well. Folks generally were pretty happy with that, and very fortunate to have the staff that we have here. So I'm going to shut up. But if there's questions, I'm kind of looking at the chat to see if there's folks over here that are asking questions. If there are, I haven't seen any directed to me. But again, happy to talk about any of these issues. My main message is thank you so much for taking on the task of serving as a committee and section leader. I was on the pattern jury, the criminal pattern jury instruction committee for many years. Poor Connie Larson was stuck as the chair for, I think she did it for 10, 15 years. She did a great job, but that was a lot. And just grateful for all the work that you guys do. So thank you.
Thank you, Paul. That was great. I am going to go to the next slide here and just want to touch base on this chat box here. Looks like Carrie is managing that and might do some responses in there while we're getting through this PowerPoint. For now, we'll go to the state bar committee support list. And so I'll just quick run down each of these. In-person events and CLE logistics, that your staff member that you could contact is Tracy Bradford or myself. Reimbursements, budget questions, inquiries having to do with your committee budget or your section budget, that's Tracy. Or any other expenses as well, keeping tabs of, event costs and all of that. That'll go to Tracy. In-person events and CLE presentation materials, that would be Tracy and I. Anything pertaining to webinars, law for lunches, that would be myself in Brooklyn. We could, help you set anything up, figure out a date, and we can send out invites if that's something that you need support with. Communication, newsletter, and marketing. Taylin is generally the head of that. I can do some help with, providing any information that you give to me, whether it be a new idea for your committee. I can send that over to Taylin and get that in the newsletter for you to get that out to the bar members. And of course, Tracy has a lot of experience in that as well. For jurisdiction credit requests, certificates and attendance, that'll be Tracy, Taylin, and Brooklyn. And for general inquiries, Tracy's your go-to. So I'll go on to the next slide here for bar services coordinator. As Paul mentioned, this is a brand new position to help support committees and sections. I actually just started in March 3rd, and just wanted to give you a quick background about myself. I find it a little bit more memorable and kind of more personal if I give you a rundown of how I actually came into this position, came to South Dakota. I'm actually from California, believe it or not, and played basketball and scholarship at Dominican University of California, and transferred over, graduated from Santa Clara University, and somehow, some way, ended up in Vermillion, South Dakota. So very far away from home, but super thankful that I ended up there. Actually, my first day of law school, I met my husband, Turner Blasius, which some of you might know. He's also an attorney. He's going to be working for GP&A here pretty soon. But back then, I had just met him and didn't think much of it. And you know, just months later, I'd say we ended up getting married, and the rest is history. We ended up having our first baby boy when I graduated in December. He was born in January, and took some time there and ended up taking the bar exam in February of 2024 at 9 months pregnant with my second boy. And they had staff on call just in case I went into labor. So it was pretty eventful leading up to actually this moment here today. And ended up passing the bar exam, found out in April time frame, and just a couple weeks later, my second son was born on Easter. So came back from maternity leave and just jumped right in. And I'm really hoping that that you'll find that it's, I'm your go-to person for all things committees. I'm able to take any suggestions, new ideas, if you have any concerns or just want to talk through an issue, I will be there to help guide you, and I'll be learning along the way, but I'll do my best to get your questions answered. So with that said, sorry for that long-winded background, but I figured it's the best way to go about this. Um, like this slide, lays out managing committee selections, process updates and records. We have 34 committees. Serve as the liaison for committee chairs and bar president. Assist with any law for lunches. I'm not sure if any of you have attended those. They're wonderful, great for, short blurbs of information that you can cover during your lunch period, and be able to go back and access that information later. I'll be in charge of gathering that information and making sure that it's available for you later on. Community communications and member engagement. So of course, social media, marketing campaigns. If there's something that needs to get out, I will be that person of contact for you. I'll be able to manage things on Facebook. We're looking into creating a new Instagram to get that information out there. A lot of our bar members are on social media, and sometimes that's the that's the alternative way to that they're getting most of their information updates from the state bar. So I'll also help with facilitate assistance with CLE programming and promotions, and of course, just promote member involvement and across, the state bar. So I wanted to dive into the committee selection process, just to give a
Melissa, can I
little,
take just a second
yeah,
before
of
just
course.
back on the previous slide?
Yes.
We're still working through, you know, how this is going to work. So we appreciate the grace that we get from all of our members. Uh, but because of all the turnover we've had in the office over the past couple of years, and we've shuffled some of the job duties, and we're still figuring out who fits doing what. Uh, please continue to give us grace as we move through our transition period, and especially as we work this new position into the mix. But again, folks have been great, very understanding. We appreciate that. And I'll turn it back over to you, Lisa. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. No, that's a good point. There's still standard operating procedures that are being created for this position. And so, until then, I'm going to be doing my very best to, learn this position as well as I can in order to help you with what you need. Um, so in that, there's always going to be a learning curve. I understand that different committees operate differently from each other, and that's something that can only be understood through experience. So I appreciate your grace with me and the state bar, and just really excited to work together. So thank you. And like I said, we'll dive into the committee selection process. So, as many of you know, the committee preference survey went out. I want to say it was created in January, maybe went out in December. If I have those dates wrong, um, just let me know. I wasn't during, I wasn't here during that time that they went out, but they were due in April, and that'll be pretty consistent from here on out. And all of those responses were put into an Excel sheet, evaluated, and that's where the president came in and made those committee appointments. So he appointed the chairs, appointed members, and that's where I sent out all of those emails to indicate and inform those members and chairs that they were appointed. So the committee list is typically announced in June. You all know that the committee uh, assignment list was posted just recently. And the reason for that is some of this transition into this new position, myself coming back from maternity leave sometime early July. So was working overtime to make sure that this was, getting done. And from here on out, we plan to have that deadline and committee list published before the state bar. The That'll be our main goal is to get that done before. And of course, there's always changes that happen after the fact. I was had a few phone calls and with some chairs and also members that were saying, hey, I saw my name on the list, and while I'm super excited that I was appointed, I just can't take this on this year. I'm on two other committees that I really do want to focus on. That's not a problem. As long as those emails come to me and I'm notified, I can make that change. I manually do it in our Excel sheets, and I update all of the committee appointment lists as well. I also go to Growth Zone, which is our back end interface where we can upload all of the contacts into our new platform that's called Committee Forum or Community Forum. So that's that's kind of how this committee selection process works. And I want to make this very clear. The committee assignment list will be uploaded monthly for the next few months, I'd say, because those changes are still going to be made. I will get emails from members. I may even get emails from chairs saying, "Hey, I need to step down," or there's a switch. Somebody's taking over for me because something's come up. That's normal. And all you need to do is just let me know. So, um, do any of you have any questions about that? If not, then I can go on to the next slide. I don't hear anything yet. So I'll move on to the committee assignments portion of where you can find this. So that's number one question that comes up, and we've heard a lot of feedback of, hey, where is this? It's buried in my emails after it comes out, and I just want a place to be able to access this list if I need to reach somebody. So of course, the newsletter is where you can find this, and then also the info hub. So I'm hoping these links work here, and I'm going to make sure that I can share my screen here. So can any of you see what I'm looking at right now?
Here,
Yes.
You can
still
see
on the
the info.
PowerPoint.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Now you're
can
on the info
inf
hub.
I'm on the info hub login. Now I'm gonna
Yep.
log in as my husband. I've gotten his permission here, so we're gonna do that just because I want to make sure you all can access this and know how to. So you're gonna see this left-hand side pane and you're gonna scroll down. all the way to online communities. I'm going to click that and hopefully it'll load fast enough. Alrighty, so we're at the online communities section. You're going to scroll down and you're going to go to committees tab. And right there, you're going to find the 2025-2026 committee assignments list. Like I said, all of these locations will be updated monthly. I will be doing that and managing that. So if there's any changes, that's where it's going to happen. So I just need to go back to the PowerPoint here and I need to make sure I share my screen again with you all. Can you all see where I'm at the committee assignments PowerPoint page?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So that's where you can find it in the Info Hub. Now we're going to do a soft launch of the Community Forum, which I was talking about before. So Community Forum is a new platform that we are launching at the State Bar, and it was created specifically for all of you and your committee members. You're going to be able to engage in all communications if you choose to do so on this platform. And I'll quick just show you where you can access the committee assignments list from the Info Hub. So I'm going to open the link here. I'm hoping it's going to work for me well again. We'll see. I'm going to share my screen from the Info Hub.
Alyssa, while you're pulling that up, I'm going to give a little background on. So and this is before my time here, but we used to have, we had a company that we worked with called Socius, and it worked very well. And then we switched over to Growth Zone, and then we had some trouble with this kind of functionality. So now we worked with Growth Zone. We had some help from an ad hoc technology committee that helped us create this essentially with the help of Growth Zone. So are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. Yep.
Okay, so I'll shut up. But this, as Alyssa said, this was created for the purpose of making the committee communications easier than using the previous system we had under Growth Zone, and hopefully easier than email. But yeah, so I'll shut up and turn it back over to you, Alyssa. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Can you all see where I'm at the My Info section?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm hoping this link will work here. If not, I have a backup page ready and pulled up. So for now, I'm going to go to uh, administrative law. Hopefully it pulls up here. Oh, perfect. Okay. I I tailored these tabs. I added each of these tabs in here to to help you navigate this platform in the most efficient way possible. So you're going to go to resources, and this post will be pinned, so it won't go anywhere. All the posts that come after it will just come below it. And right here, you're going to find the committee assignments list again. Like I said, this is going to be updated. I'll be in charge of updating all of this. Um, so I'm going to close out of this section really quick and head back to the PowerPoint. Let me share and then reshare the PowerPoint. Okay. Can you all see the committee assignments PowerPoint page shared with you all?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, sorry, I gotta have that feedback because I can't see you all. I can only see the PowerPoint on my end. So I gave you a glimpse of Community Forum. Now I'm going to kind of dive in and really show you the tools that you can use on the platform itself. So I'm going to open this link here and share my screen onto the next page. Can you all see this page here?
Yes, welcome to Community Forum.
Perfect. Okay, so this is the home page here. If you scroll down, you can find your committee by using these little arrows, but that's not the most efficient way to do that. You're going to want to go to your quick links on the side and go down to committees, and any committee that you're on will populate on the left-hand side. And if you want to search within committees, you can go to the committees tab on the top and search any committee that you're looking for. So for example, I'm going to go to the admin law, which I have pinned to show you all how this works. So say you're on the administrative law committee. This is where your mission statement lives. And this can be updated. I can do this for you, or you can just send me any edits and I'll make that happen for you. Member directory is going to be located here. It's awesome because you can quickly search a name if you need to find somebody within your committee, if you have a large committee, and you need to get their contact information. I'm on the other end on Growth Zone, updating this information each month when there's changes. So every month, this will be updated to the most current members. If you go to the discussion section, this is where in each committee, this type form will be pinned. It won't go anywhere. This is where it lives. And all new discussions that come after it will just populate below. And this type form is going to be something that you all fill out after a meeting or after an event or a CLE event. And this helps me kind of gather this data and see the topics that you're working on, projects that can be highlighted, things that you have questions about that the state bar can help you with. All of that information is going to go straight to me, to Carrie and I, and we're going to be able to, have an update at the end of the year on how we can best support you or what you have worked on. So just a quick side note, Taylin and I will be working on kind of a highlight portion of the State Bar newsletter, and I'd love to highlight committees that are working on awesome projects that have, things in the work, in the works that are really helping either bar members, other attorneys, or State Bar as a whole. And so that's something that can be highlighted in this type form. So there's the feed section. I did a little post here a couple days ago that says, hey, navigate to your discussion feed for the committee section survey. And that's something that you can do if you have a new post or a new announcement. You can tell your respective committee, hey, don't forget to sign up for this certain thing, or don't forget to send in this document. Which brings me to resources section. This is going to be an awesome tool if you utilize it. This is where all of your documents can live. I know that I had gotten some feedback from the young lawyers section at their meeting yesterday, and something that they're talking about and working through is having legacy documents. And each year when a new person comes into their position, sometimes it's really difficult to start over and say, okay, well, what's done before, and where's that information? Do we have a template for an email that we send out at a certain date? Do we have a template for how we hold an event? All of that information can be in one place and accessed by every new chair, every new member that comes in, and that could be right here. Same things with meetings. So you can schedule a new meeting. You can hold that meeting on within the community forum. And I'm not sure if you can see this now. It might not pop up, but yep, camera mic is blocked because I'm on here. Can you all still see what I'm looking at here with the meetings section?
Yes, you're on the admin law calendar.
Perfect. Okay. So this is where you can calendar all your events, make sure that everybody's on task, assign tasks to individuals, and your meetings, you have the option of recording them and uploading them here. I believe there's also options for transcripts, post meeting transcripts. So that's really helpful in keeping everything in one place. And so, like I said, this is the place where you're going to have the most collaboration with your committee members. This is a place where you can, all of the chairs I have added to one committee on this, I want to call it application, but on this interface, on this platform, and all of you can collaborate and work together, kind of let each other know, hey, I'm working on this new event coming in, 3, 4 months from now. I'd love to work with the family law committee. Do you think we could collaborate? And that's the place where, it won't get lost in your emails. It'll stay on this platform. There's also
Alyssa,
options. Yep. Hmm.
quick question from the chat box.
Yes.
When meetings, resources, or discussions are posted within a community forum, for
Hmm.
example, to the strategic plan committee, do other committee members get email notification that there's an update in community forums?
I believe that there are, so if you look for notifications here, if you're a part of that committee, I believe so. If you are not a part of that respective committee, so say you're on the education law committee, and admin law committee is the one who posted something, I don't believe that you'll have access just yet, but I believe that Growth Zone as a whole on the back end is working on getting communication between multiple committees so that they can, maybe see, hey, oh, I see on their calendar they have this. For now, I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to work with each committee on what they have up planned for each month. And say they have a meeting on Monday or every Monday of every month. I'm going to update that information into kind of what we discussed, Carrie, a master calendar so that everyone kind of knows, hey, all right, so they're working on this, or, they have a certain date that they're meeting. And that's the extent of notification that other members can have with each other on this platform. But I think it's progressing as time goes on. Growth Zone is adding new features. So
Alyssa, and I think the specific question is if somebody posts something, say on the admin law site, is there some kind of notification that goes out to the members of that committee or section that, hey, there's something out there, go look at it?
yes, if you're within the administrative law committee, for example, and a post comes out, you're going to get a notification here at the top saying that there's a new discussion post or a new file that's posted, or hey, you have a meeting coming up. So that will all come up here.
So just Dick Casey had the question. Dick, if
Oh,
that
yeah.
answered your question, let us know. But I think that's what you're kind of getting at. And and, and as long as
Yes.
I'm talking, does that answer that, Dick?
Yes, it does. I want to make
Okay,
Okay,
sure.
perfect.
Yeah.
thank
Perfect.
you.
Yep, and I will say this, Growth Zone is working on getting an application that can get notifications connected to your phone so that you'll get those on your phone. And be able to, if you're going about your day and you get a new notification about a posting, you'll be able to see that and log right on and go into that. But I think that's coming. So as of now, it's online here. Um,
Melissa, there's another question. Uh,
yes. Mhm.
I'll just read it.
Okay.
How can I just email committee members directly? Can it be done through the website?
Yes, I believe so. I believe that there's an option for messaging or through Growth Zone, and I'm still learning a little bit of this interface too. I've just gotten the initial setup and general tabs here, but I'm going to find out for you. I'll come
Well,
back to
and
that if I
Carrie,
find.
there's the old fashioned way, or Alyssa can answer this
Yes.
too, right? Each committee will have an email that went out at the beginning,
Yes.
right? Saying, here's your chairs, here's who's on your committee, and it should have everybody on there. So obviously
That's right.
membership may change, but you can always use that, correct, Alyssa?
Yes. what
Yeah.
can always happen too is any one of you chairs or co-chairs can always email me if you want the most recent updated um, list. I can send that to you in 5 minutes. So if you ever need to have a list ready, I'm I'm managing that as changes are happening. So I could send you the most updated list whenever you
And
need.
let me throw something in real quick too. If I was a committee chair or a section chair here and
Mm,
I'm listening to this, I'd be like, hey, this is great, but I'm an old fuddy-duddy. I'm not tech savvy. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to do much with this. I'll play around
mm,
with it a little bit. And our message back would be that's great. I mean, don't worry about having to learn an old dog learning new tricks. This is okay. Play
that's right.
around with it a little bit, right? And to the extent you're able to use it or want to use it, that's great. But don't worry about, you know, we're expecting that everybody is going to have the same interaction with this new tool. We don't expect that. This is kind of a choose your own adventure to some extent. We created this, or with the folks from Growth Zone, to make communication easier, but that doesn't mean that everybody's going to utilize this in the same fashion. So don't be intimidated by this being a new thing and you not being comfortable with it. We're totally on board with that. So back to you.
Absolutely, Paul. That's a great point. You are free to continue communicating as you have in the past with your committees, or if you are a new chair, you can absolutely still use Teams or Zoom or just, email if that's your most effective way of communicating. I see, Carrie, you have your hand
Hey,
raised.
everybody. One quick point, and I put this in the chat, but I wanted to just lift it up. Um, the State Bar staff is notified of new emails when you update your email in the Member Hub, and Member Hub directly updates your information in Communities Forum. And so if you want the most up-to-date email for you, your staff, or your team, make sure that you encourage your members to update any new emails in Member Hub. The trick with using the old way is that we were hitting some emails that were either no longer good emails or human error. We typed them wrong. So the benefit of using Member Hub or Communities Forum is that whatever information you put in, that's where we'll send you the emails to. So quick plug for updating your information in the system.
And Alyssa, Dick Casey's got another question in the chat. Do you want me to read it or can you see it?
If you could read it, that'd be great.
Yeah. So regarding Carrie's comment about the option, can the system be set up so a committee member needs to opt out, but the default is that committee members do get email notices that something has been posted?
There's an option on the growth zone end on my end where I can do an opt out. Um,
For somebody, but other than unless someone affirmatively opts out, they are
yes,
going to get the emails, correct?
generally yes.
Okay, Dick, does that answer that?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that not everybody had to opt in to get those email notifications because that would not work very well. But
Great,
Nope.
great question. Thank you,
Yeah,
Dick.
thank you. Yeah,
yep.
so this is a place where there's room for growth. Growth Zone is updating a few tools on here. They're tweaking a few things to make it more user accessible and easier to navigate. So as those changes happen, I will do my best to post kind of navigation videos in the resources page here. If there's any questions on how to navigate certain things, or I've gotten a lot of feedback of, hey, I don't know how to do this, I'll be doing periodic videos that'll be located in the resources tab for you. And of course, if you have any questions, you can always let me know, give me a call, send me an email, whatever works for you. I do want to be the person to help you out with this. So we can go on to the next slide, actually. I'm going to quick go to the PowerPoint and share this area. Okay. So as far as reporting, can you all see this?
Yes, you're on the right slide.
Perfect. Okay, so the annual report is due on May 1st. I'll be your point of contact for that. And something I really want to highlight for all of you to just jot down or remember, um, this May 1st deadline is really rigid. The reason for that is because this information for the annual reports, it goes in our booklet. And there's a hard print date that that information needs to get to the company by. And so that May 1st deadline is really important to remember because, you know, if any information comes after that, it won't make it into the booklet. So just wanted to make sure that I highlighted that. We went over meeting reports as far as community forum. Um, you know, you're able to upload or take the type form questionnaire. It takes about 3 minutes to complete to give me that information of things that you're working on, questions that you have. As far as expenses, the budget's approved, and Tracy will assist with any invoices, coding, and tracking expenses. So she's your point of contact for any expenses that you have.
Alyssa, I wanted to, on the annual report, I think you don't need to recreate the wheel every year, right? You can use the previous year's report
That's
to
right.
base your report off of for the next year. And to the extent you want to rewrite it. But if you want to use the previous year's report as your guideline,
Mhm.
that's great. Thank you.
Yes. And I believe that goes out in a type form as well. So it's easy to fill out. As far as communication, so we talked about the primary tools for member communication is the newsletter, of course, the State Bar website, and good old email. That just works perfect too. So the newsletter deadline that I would love for you guys to highlight, write down is the 26th of each month. If you want something in the newsletter, it needs to get to Taylin by before the 26th or on the 26th. So as far as committee communications, there's SharePoint, Growth Zone, email communications, and of course our new launch of Community Forum.
Alyssa, there's a couple of questions in the chat. Uh,
Yes.
Brooke, good point. Law Day is May 1st. Uh, so again, the print deadline, we've got to get this stuff to the printer because they print those out, and then we mail out those annual reports. And of course, with mail, uh, you know, that takes longer these days, yada yada. Uh, I would say don't worry about having this super up to date through April. If you're working on your committee reports, if to the extent you want to work on that and have it done in April, that's fine. We don't need super up to the date information like right up through May 1st. So Brooke, hopefully that answers that question. But that May 1 deadline that's a hard deadline because we got the printer issue for the annual meeting programs. Now, of course, we've got the new app that we use for the annual meeting. Uh,
Mhm.
but some of that information is taken right out of the printed program. So we could always update the app. But if you want it in the hard copy program, May 1 is the deadline. Jennifer Williams had a question here. It would be, and Carrie, do you want to take that one?
Thank you. In 2025, we tried a new attempt at getting information, which was filling out a survey. That was the first time we'd ever tried it. And so the question into the chat for the group was, how did that survey work? On our end, it worked well. However, there may have been some of you that either didn't receive it or didn't function well for you. So we just wanted to see any feedback. And Jennifer had a great suggestion, which was, hey, if we could see the questions early, that'll help us fill out the survey. Um, the there had not been a SOP or standard operating procedure of how the annual reports had went in the past. So we're just continuing to try things new and moving from good to great or great to better or to excellent. So we'll take your feedback and we'll continue to learn together. So anytime you'd like to let us know about using surveys or Typeform to gather information, happy to help and have that conversation.
Building the plane as we fly it.
Alrighty, there's some great questions coming in, and thank you, Carrie and Paul, for kind of facilitating answering those. So thank you. And we're going to move on to the strategic plan. So Carrie will be able to talk about this in more detail.
Hi, everyone. Carrie Sanderson. As Paul introduced earlier, I serve as your strategic plan coordinator. That is it's not a full-time position, it's a part-time position with State Bar, but it's a way for me to assist in special projects and to make sure that the great work that you all are doing ties back to the strategic plan. Dick Casey and Jennifer Williams are on. They are the co-chairs of the Strategic Plan Committee, and they're a great resource for history of how the Strategic Plan Committee has really evolved over the last 10 years and the just invaluable resource they are to the State Bar. The strategic plan that we have, I believe we're on our fourth iteration of it for the State Bar, and it runs 2024 through 2027. And you see the three main goals listed here on our screen. You were sent the full strategic plan as pre-read materials. Please feel free to reference that at any time and to really lean in on how that strategic plan can help either influence or guide some of the special projects that you're working on or the efforts that you're doing for the State Bar. I'll quickly run through these three goals, and I see Dick Casey has come off of mute, so I'll let him talk here in just about 60 seconds. The strategic plan, we've got some really neat things happening. The first is that we are focusing on internal operations and infrastructure, making sure that the staff is able to fulfill the requirements in statute for a mandatory bar, as well as providing you as a member and as committee members as the best possible service that we have. We spent quite a bit of time over the past year looking at internal operations, making sure that we have the right staff support, and then restructuring either our job descriptions or our time capacities to help. So that'll continue to be a primary role for the State Bar. The next thing that we're doing when we look at that community of professional excellence, well-being, and civility is how are we preparing competent attorneys to go back out into our communities and support all of the needs of our communities? Not only does this look at our access to justice, but it really pays attention to the well-being of our attorneys. And in 2025, our strategic plan retreat focused on attorney well-being. Our request for you this year is for you as committees to not only look at the entire strategic plan, but also take an internal evaluation of how your committee can enhance the well-being of attorneys and support that initiative of competent attorneys through wellness. And then the final thing that we're looking at, of course, is sustainability across the profession. That is everything from recruitment of students to go into the legal profession, supporting law students, and then, of course, keeping our rural solo practice attorneys able to practice and building those competencies through CLEs. So again, we encourage you to keep the strategic plan in mind as you are working through your efforts. Dick, I will turn the table over to you.
I just took my mute off in case somebody asked me something. I don't know that I have anything to add. Jennifer, do you have anything?
The one thing I was thinking about, well, first of all, can you guys hear me? Sometimes my work microphone doesn't work. Okay.
Yes.
Thing that I was thinking about, to just echo what Carrie said, in the committees, referring to this plan and using the plan, I would ask that you actually pull out the plan at one of your first meetings this year and see how your committee work specifically aligns with or advances a strategic goal. And you can see how your work is so important to the success of the bar. And then if you maybe don't find a particular thing in the plan that aligns with what your committee work is doing, just reach out to Dick, Carrie, and I, or one of us, and we will show you exactly how what you are doing aligns with the plan, or give you ideas on what your committee can do that will help further the goals of the State Bar strategic plan.
We appreciate all of your efforts as we work to grow and have this being a living document that supports the practice of law in South Dakota. So I will put my contact information in the chat box. If you have any questions, I'd love to either get on a phone call or chat with you in any way.
Wonderful. If there's nothing more to be covered for the strategic plan, we can go on to the next slide, which is continuing legal education. This information will be covered by Tamara Nash. I believe she is on here. Tamara, can you hear me?
Yep, I'm on.
Perfect. I have all of the slides here. And once you're complete with the slide, just let me know to go to the next one.
Perfect. Thank you. Hey everyone, my name is Tamara Nash. I am returning this year as the CLE committee chair, and just kind of wanted to take a moment to jump on, chat with y'all about some recent updates and changes with the CLE committee, and just encourage collaboration and work between your committees and our committee. So that's kind of the spirit of our time together. I'll try to tick through them relatively quickly, considering time, but I'm always available for questions or thoughts. So we look at the next slide. You have here the vision and the purpose of our State Bar's CLE committee. And the next slide will actually show you as well. We are embedded into goal 2 of our strategic plan as a state bar. So providing high quality, engaging programming that serve our law students, serve our members, serve our members of the judiciary is a top goal for the bar, of course, but the primary task and responsibility of the CLE committee. So I want to give you a little bit of an understanding of our typical schedule, and then talk with you about ways that your committee can ponder working with us. So if you go to, yep, thank you. We have kind of 2 buckets of programming that you all are used to seeing from the CLE committee, formally. That would be 1, any of the in-person CLEs, so the Young Lawyer Section Boot Camp or the May Joint Family Law Criminal Law CLE. And then we have another bucket of programming, and those are law for lunches. Those are kind of your bite-sized virtual programs that we offer to our members, for an hour that allow you to join from your computer, wherever you're at, and access information. Our in-person CLEs, we have some that are kind of on a standing schedule through the year that most of you probably know and love by this point. But we're always open in, looking to expand upon those offerings. And then our law for lunches, the schedule for that is every other Tuesday. And they occur over the lunch hour, every other month on a Tuesday, and they occur over the lunch hour. So those are kind of the 2 buckets of opportunities for programming in the State Bar that the CLE committee is responsible for. If you look at the next slide, you'll see what we have scheduled for our in-person CLEs for the State Bar 25-26 year. Most coming up on our timeline is a September 5th. Bankruptcy CLE, shameless plug, please join us at the Hilton Garden Inn in Sioux Falls. Beyond that, you'll see the rest of the programs that we have for this year. Some have times scheduled at this point, some are still to be determined. Most important or most notable for this group is our annual meeting. So as y'all know, we're meeting in Sioux Falls, June 24, 26, and our committee works together to brainstorm and identify programs we think are relevant and needed and timely for our profession. So as you are planning your year as a committee chair, please take a moment to think about what sort of programming you might want to see at annual meeting. If your committee wants to, volunteer to own a program and work alongside the CLE committee, we would love that. So just kind of think about any, short and long-term goals that you have for programming, and specifically noting that we are always in need for a full slate of annual meeting programs, and would be happy to work with you on that. The next slide identifies our Law for Lunches that we have scheduled. Like I mentioned, they're every other month. We are scheduled, our topics are selected already through November, January 26th. But looking into the remaining Law for Lunches for the year, we have not identified program topics yet. So if your, committee has a new emerging, line of cases or a new process or procedure, anything that you would like to promote and spread among members, please reach out to us. We would love to work with your committee and get a Law for Lunch scheduled and provide information to our members. So our goals, the CLE committee's goals this year, we have a couple. You all come into play with those on a few of the bullet points. One, we have newly adopted CLE standards for the state bar that we reviewed and implemented last year, and I'll tell you about those in a moment. So we want to promote and spread the word about those standards. We also are working to just create standard procedures and process for how CLEs and Law for Lunches are suggested, selected, and implemented within our state bar, whether it originates from, Ryan and the Criminal Law Committee, or if it originates from the CLE committee. And then we want to make sure that our programming is always the best that it can be. High quality, engaging, great speakers, get folks excited to come and participate virtually or in person. And then lastly, the collaboration with committees. That's where you all come in. So we are trying to reach out and engage more with our committee chairs. One, to let you know how CLE works in the state bar, how we can support you, but also empower you to plan and implement any CLEs or Law for Lunches that you may want to see specific to or respective to your substantive areas of the law that your committee handles. So how can you do that? Well, you can send us your ideas. So if you go, oh, perfect, you're already there. Thank you, Alyssa. I have a Google form. I'll put the link in the chat as well when we get done. Oh, if you can go back one, Alyssa, thanks. Please tell us ideas you have. And this doesn't mean you're saying like, I will own this and put 50 hours in. CLEs don't take that long, but just for purposes of example, you could maybe just send us, hey, have you thought about XYZ area of the law or XYZ rule amendment? And that just kind of helps us make sure that our information is, evergreen and the most up-to-date as possible. Of course, we have a wonderful committee that cover many areas geographically and practice-wise, but we can't cover all of it by ourselves. So let us know. And if you want to be super involved and help with the program chair and every bit of the details in building and planning, we would love that. We will not turn you away. So let us know. And that kind of leads to our goal that we want to remind people and tether folks to is, of course, we want to make sure that all programming we do in the state bar, no matter what happens with mandatory CLE, is high quality, is engaging, and makes our members feel, even more empowered to practice. So that prompts me to ask you to send us your ideas, and to ask you to think of, speakers we haven't heard from, areas of the law we maybe don't cover as frequently, or any nuance, conversations or topics that you think we should cover. And so I mentioned before that we have standards. Last year, our committee had a working group, and we did a full exhaustive 50-state survey and review of what do other states do? How do they designate and plan a CLE? What do they say is the bare minimum? What's, pie in the sky? And from that, it informed the standards that we adopted in April 2025. And so these are the standards that the CLE committee has married itself to, and by way of saying we promise to make the best programs that we can moving forward. And we encourage you to keep these in mind as you're looking and brainstorming what sort of CLEs or Law for Lunches or programming generally you might like our state bar to produce for our members. So one, there's 5 kind of basic threshold pieces, kind of the floor of what we're looking for. One is that the content has, significant intellectual or practical content, basically something that advances a professional skill or competency area of the law. That doesn't mean, it's so rigid that you can't get into other, soft skills, for lack of a better phrase. That absolutely does cover well-being, diversity, equity, inclusion, practice management, all of those types of things. So that's a broad and inclusive umbrella, we hope. Second is that the program does need to be related to the practice of law. Hopefully that's not a surprise to anyone. Some of you may enjoy your hobbies after work, but basket weaving would not be, offered as a approved CLE, at least not under these standards. So anything that relates to lawyers, our competencies, our rules of ethics, what we do, how we do it, is the nature of what we're looking for. Third, we would like high quality, qualified faculty. That can be a lawyer, a judge. If it's a well-being program, maybe it's a counselor or a medical doctor. Of course, depending on the program and the nature of the topic, that might drive or change who the faculty is. But we want to make sure that we have the best folks possible, educating and empowering our members. And the next slide has our final two standard pieces. One is four would be, high quality materials. Now, sometimes folks hear that and they're like, oh my gosh, that's so much. I want to encourage you to pause. Materials can be previously released articles or cases. It can be an outline. It can be your program slides. It's very diverse, and we're very flexible in what that looks and feels like, but we want to make sure that folks are being empowered with tangible information that they can take back to their practice and hit the ground running versus, chit chat conversations. And of course, there's always a time and a place and great utility for, less formal conversations or, panel dialogues. We're not saying those are going away. We're saying those are great, but they just fall into a separate category because we want to make sure we're distinguishing something used to equip folks with information and education versus maybe more on the side of conversation and anecdotal information. And then lastly, we hope that programs are long enough that folks learn something and that they enjoy their time. We have a suggestion of 1 hour. We certainly have no firm or hard requirements by what that looks like, but our committee is available on demand to work with you, to brainstorm, collaborate, take an idea and bring it to fruition and make sure our members feel like they have everything they need to be the best that they can in their practice. So I'll have you go to the next slide, Alyssa. And then we have additional considerations that we would ask folks to think about, and that's more logistics and on the staff end, but just as an FYI for a holistic picture for you all, additional things we want to try to work towards this year, but didn't officially, formally marry ourselves to them in the standards. So moving forward this bar year, we will, one, try to be in front of you as many times as possible to tell you about what's happening in the bar by way of programming and give you information that you need so your committee can go back and brainstorm on topics or programs that you think we should be promoting or presenting to our members. And we ask that you fill out the form that I linked. It's in the slides, but I'll drop it in the chat here in a moment. And you don't have to have like a formal, polished, idea or thought. You can just send over a suggestion like, hey, cover, competency or, insert example. And then another thing we're doing this year is each member of our CLE committee will be designated a liaison to each of your committees. So that way, if you have a question on programming or CLE, you know exactly who to reach out. So if your, young lawyer section and your liaison is me, oh yeah, I can email Tamara and ask her, how does this work? Or what if we wanted to plan a CLE? What would be required? Or is this date available? Or insert question. So that information will be going out shortly. I'm our first actual committee meeting will be next week, and then we'll be pushing forth through the year. So please, please, please brainstorm ideas of programs that you would like to see us do, and let us know how we can support you as a committee chair, but also how we can better serve our members and make sure we're fulfilling our strategic goals and mission for the bar. And I can take questions if there's time, Alyssa. Otherwise, everyone knows you can put your question, or rather email me from the directory on the State Bar website, and I'd be happy to chat with you offline.
Yeah, I see. Perfect, Tamara. Thank you so much for all of that information. I see Carrie has her hand raised. Oh, Carrie, did you still have a question or some input?
And I'll see, Dick, I see your question. Yeah, so I believe this is being recorded and will be pushed out. We also have these slides that I created that Alyssa, I presume, will be sending out. We also have, if you want to be real nerdy, our standards report and recommendation that I can shoot you as well, Dick. But yes, our goal will be to communicate those standards far and wide and make them readily available for folks. And then when I refer to 1 hour programs, so the 1 hour programs are Law for Lunches, those 1 hour bite-sized virtual programs that we offer. And then CLEs are more robust, longer period of time in-person programming. When I say programs, I'm saying that generally as the broad umbrella of there are different types of programs that we can do as a committee, or you can work with us on a committee, whether it's a 4 hour CLE at annual meeting or a 50-minute 1 hour Law for Lunch on one of those designated Tuesdays. So
Thank you.
I have
Thanks
a
for all your
question.
work, Tamara, too. I just want to thank you for all your work, because I'm a predecessor from many years ago, and I know it's a big job, and I appreciate the great work you're doing. So thank you.
thank you. I appreciate that. And I'll also give kudos and shout outs to Jen is on, and Sander, I think maybe dropped off, but we have some of our CLE committee members on this call as well. And we worked very hard last year. So thank you. We appreciate that.
This is Cameo Anders. I have a question for, or maybe just a comment. So I appreciate all the work you're doing on the posts and sort of what looks to me like a system that people use for online courses. That will be great to communicate, I think. I sent out a post and to test if it comes through in my email, and it does not. So it would be nice to have those notifications. I don't think they're happening, but I'm also not an expert on that system. So thanks for all your work, and I'll look forward to having that be sort of synchronous if possible.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad that you actually tested that out. I'm still working closely with community forums with Growth Zone as the main operating system, and I've let them know of a few details that that I'm inquiring about the same thing. So we're working on it. As soon as I get that update, I'll let you know, and I'll let all of the committee chairs know, hey, this is the new tool, this is the new release for this month, and get you that information, because I'd love for you to be able to use it to the extent that you want to. So thank you.
And on other systems, a couple of them that I've used, you have to opt in to have the notifications sent to your email. So I'm not sure if that's this one too, but
I may be able to do that on my end through Growth Zone. So I'll look into it. I'll see what I come up with, and I'll try to get you an answer here pretty soon.
okay, thank you.
Mhm. Alrighty. Well, it looks like we are nearing the end here. I have a few open discussion questions. These are questions that were generally covered or sent out in the type form that we sent out, I believe, yesterday. This is just to promote some more feedback from all of you who maybe didn't have time to fill that out, but I'll just ask the questions without you having to look it out on the screen so that we could be a little bit more interactive here. Give me one moment. I'll just stop sharing and look at you all here. So for former chairs, I know there are many of you here. What worked well last year in running your committee? I'd love to hear some feedback, even if it's just one or two people. Anyone's brave enough to to volunteer.
As someone who was a new committee chair last year, I think that the most important thing was the work that had been done by the prior chairs to put standard operating procedures in place. Having sat through committee meetings for several years, I didn't realize what it takes to kind of set them up and schedule things out and figure out a plan for the coming year. And so yeah, and not reinventing the wheel was the most important thing to me.
This is John Burke. Jeff Hurd, I noticed, does it, and I think it helps. But Jeff, it seems like in addition to the notices that we have for the meetings, there's typically, and maybe that's not your main objective, but there's a separate email that goes out, kind of a reminder with either the Zoom link or, hey, we're on, on this date and time. And I find that a separate email to get people roped in to show up and attend is helpful. Sometimes I feel like if it's only a notification through the hub, that maybe they aren't paying as close attention as they should. You got to kind of nudge them along to participate.
Yeah, I generally think the more ways you can remind people, the more likely they are to show up. If for no other reason, John, it reminds them that you know they're still on the committee and you'll be looking for them.
That's right.
That's great
but
feedback.
I thought it was effective, Jeff. I thought Jeff was effective with it, jumping in as the chair on because I've been on that committee a long time, and I thought it was effective. I feel like it was helping. Jeff did a really nice job with that committee, and I think getting it back on the rails and trying to keep people invested in it and appearing. So I thought it was good.
Thanks, John.
And that's great feedback from both you guys on that. John mentioned the member hub, and just to and Carrie or Alyssa jump in and straighten me out on this, but this community forum tool is supposed to be a better tool than I guess the old member hub. Carrie, is that fair?
Ooh, I'm going to pitch this to Alyssa in just a second, but they're intra-connected. So we used to have committees portions on the member hub. We're still using the member hub for you to update your emails and to get resources from the state bar. Community forums replaces the section where committees were in the member hub. Alyssa?
I'd say that's an accurate statement. It's a tool to have all of your documents in one place, all of your discussions in one place, and have some personal messaging between members within your committee. So I'd say that's accurate, Carrie.
And John Burke was one of the more active users on using the member hub, if you will, because the messages would go out. Hey, there's, this notice went out. And John, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but and this, what we're trying to do with this community forum is, in essence, improve that process. So hopefully that will work better than it did in the past.
That's the goal.
I shouldn't say it's replacing the member hub. It's a tool that goes along with the member hub. Sorry about that. I interrupted somebody.
Paul, can I just make a observation from many years of committee membership, some years as chairmanship? and that is, especially for the newer members, but really for everybody, as chairs, it's really important, I think, to try to engage your members because a lot of people, just human nature, and I don't care if you're talking lawyers, or if you're talking members of a church parish or any organization, it's like some would say a third, a third, a third, a third do everything, a third do some stuff, and a third do nothing. That might even be generous, but uh, try to engage your people who might need a little added incentive to be engaged. Um, Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in a position as chair of saying, "Oh, to hell with it! I'm just going to do it myself," and you're going to burn out, and you're cheating yourself, and you're cheating really the committee and the bar as a whole of getting new and different ideas from new and different perspectives. So just really try to get help for yourself and encourage active membership by your members.
Great observation. Thank you, Dick.
No, that's great feedback. One of the next questions that I wanted to just kind of lighten the mood and make it open for anybody at this point, any chair, to just give some input about what you're excited for about this year. It could be something short.
This is Burke. I don't know that I'm excited about anything in particular, but when Paul was first making his comments, he noted that it was like their first bar. I just wanted to say, and I'll follow up on what Dick said as well. Paul, I thought you did a really good job. I thought the state bar staff was outstanding. I interacted when I was on the D board mainly with Nicole and then Tracy, but they do an outstanding job. And Tracy literally gets riddled with stuff at the bar convention about whether or not, the main gallery is cool enough, and how's she going to fix it, as if she can somehow, magically fix the air conditioner on her own. And she was very graceful in how she handled that. I was a little surprised that somebody really thought she should crawl up in the air handler and fix it. They didn't say that, but the point was they were kind of poking her about that. But I thought they all did a really nice job, and I know I'm leaving people out because I don't necessarily know who all does what. I mainly interacted with Tracy, but I really thought the staff does a nice job, especially when we're kind of dealing with, it's hard to find good people at this time as it is. Um, you know, anyway, I thought they did a nice job.
Yeah, thank you for that, John. And again, can we do things better and differently? Probably, yeah. So definitely let us know. And again, we appreciate everyone's grace as we continue to go through the transition with the new staff and the new things we're trying to do. And John, those words mean a lot to us. So thank you.
Perfect. So last question here. Would any of you like to just kind of talk about any projects you have planned? It doesn't have to be completely thought out, or any CLEs that you might be working on. We'd love to hear a little bit of that. I sense some shyness. That's okay.
I don't know that I have any type of topic, Alyssa.
It's
Michelle,
okay.
for those of you that don't know me, I feel like I have the hardest role of any committee chair this year because I have to try to fill the shoes of Bob Morris for Project Real Practice. I'm really excited about that. As a participant in the program, and I finished my 5-year commitment, and I'm still practicing in my hometown and getting to be a lawyer there and do a lot of really great things. And looking forward to continuing to get to do great things through that committee and helping other committees for that through different CLEs, different trainings. And so I don't think we necessarily have like a full blown CLE dedicated to rural practice every year, but I'm just introducing myself. I'm excited to work with people this year as things come up. And solid note, pretty close to school starting, and Pat and I got our first email yesterday asking about slot availability because we have somebody else that's interested in the program. So exciting things happening.
Very nice. That's awesome. Oh, Carrie, I think you're still muted.
Would you give a quick update on the fun things that Project Rural Practice is doing for their application for the Mentorship Hub and some other things?
Is that me, Carrie, or is that Alyssa? Me. Um, Looking at doing a couple of projects. I will say we've got a very awesome, very active committee with a lot of different state bar staff involved with that. And we're recently awarded a Department of Justice grant, which is awesome for some projects. I think our big push at the moment, working with some of the other committees, is creating a form bank for new attorneys, for solo practitioners, small offices to be able to utilize if you don't have a built in forms bank already for everything from a simple divorce filing to a um, deed to summons and complaint. And so, working a lot of really cool things.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing this wonderful news. If there are no more participants, then look out for, any emails from me. Sometimes I might do a little call and just check in with you, make sure that you're getting the support that you need for your committee, and just making sure I touch base with each and every one of you. So I'm really proud of all of you. Thank you for committing all of your time to this. And I know it's not easy managing, one committee and being on, multiple. So thank you again for all of your time. I hope that you enjoyed this committee orientation. I know it's been a little bit different from past ones, but yeah, thank you. I'm really excited to be in this position and to be working alongside you. So thank you. Paul, if you have any other, closing remarks or any other information, my last point I'll say is if you could just quick review your let's see, your mission statements, and if there's any changes that you would like to send over to me, please do that. You can send it to me through email, and I'll get that updated on the community forums and any other place that it needs to be. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Alyssa. Great job in leading this. Great, appreciate everybody. And just would go back to what we started with, which was a big thank you to everybody for uh, taking on the task. And again, these different committees, they're all a little bit different. And not every chair is going to be the same. That's fine. To the extent we can help, let us know, and we'll see what we can do to help out. So thank you again.
Alrighty, I think you all are free to go. See ya.